Joker Part 2 cost 4 times as much as the first movie. Its budget was $200 million, and this is comparable to blockbusters of the Avengers level. But here we have only 4 locations: jail, court, street, and a studio where they sing songs. Moreover, Joaquin Phoenix can't sing.
Song is about loving me.
Neither the audience nor the critics liked the movie, and it failed at the box office. Just like Joker from The Dark Knight, Todd Phillips is burning a lot of money. By the way, even Jared Leto's Joker from Suicide Squad is more successful. Not surprisingly, Joker Part 2 is based on an idea that came to Joaquin Phoenix in a dream. They wanted to make a Broadway musical out of it. But COVID happened, and they ended up making a movie whose director escaped the city during premiere weekend and locked himself in a ranch. That is, Todd Phillips realized he had made a movie that sucked. But if he realized what he had made, then maybe he made it intentionally. And to make sense of it all, we first need to look at the original. The first Joker was released at a time when Hollywood was making movies about the systematic oppression of women and black people. Movies like Black Panther brought the idea that a good movie is a movie with representation. It's a movie that represents your race, your skin color, your gender, and so on. And the first Joker used this trend, but unconventionally, taking a different angle. It's a movie about the systematic oppression of the white male, and it became a kind of Black Panther for white men. And just like the Black Panther, it made $1 billion. The movie had elements of social criticism. It was about how social institutions let us down. The protagonist, Arthur Fleck, is a victim of abuse behavior and mental problems. Society doesn't accept him, and in doing so, it creates a monster called Joker. We've already analyzed the first movie on our channel. You should watch it if you haven't already. We'll leave the link in the description box. We live in an era when a lot of people cannot find their place in the world, and the problem of mental health is more relevant today than ever before. And that's why the Joker has resonated with a wide group of people. He's become a cultural phenomenon, a kind of retribution fantasy about a system that causes mental problems in the population and then abandons them. The movie shows the collapse of that system, and many viewers watch that collapse with satisfaction.
And for once in my life, I didn't feel so alone anymore.
And we can endlessly talk about the fact that the movie supposedly condemns violence. But on an emotional level, it creates a very different picture. There's a sense of some karmic justice. First, we see how this miserable man is bullied and driven crazy. And then the offenders get what they deserve. And we are waiting with anticipation for the Joker to kill De Niro on air.
I hope this guy blows his brains out.
Because of the peculiarities of movie language, all this violence looks triumphant. It closes the character arc, and there is a moment of catharsis in the story. What's more, it's not the sad cello that played the whole movie before, but upbeat rock from the 70s. And the moment when they honor him for the murder is almost the first scene where the protagonist looks genuinely happy. Thanks to such simple narrative techniques, Todd Phillips' Joker became an idol for millions, and they eagerly awaited his return. And now that the second movie has been released, fans were naturally expecting to see the Joker, the one Arthur turned into at the end of the first movie. But they didn't get that. There is no Joker in the movie. The most obvious reason for this decision is that the Joker offers violence as an answer to problems, and that's somewhat problematic. After all, it's one thing to show a man becoming an insane killer, and quite another to make a separate movie about his atrocity and unintentionally promote violence. And that's why the second movie repudiates the first. It claims it's all wrong.
They made that TV movie about you. Everybody still thinks you're the star. How about you, Arthur?
At the end of the video, we'll talk about a much more interesting version. But there is a fact, for example, Deadpool and Wolverine knows what the audience wants and gives it to them. Joker Part 2 also knows what the audience wants, but it doesn't give it to them on purpose. and pays for it through its failure and self-destruction. It's a movie that is hard to watch. It spends all its time not to develop a complete independent story, but to nullify the first movie. And now we'll figure out why this movie is so awful. And by the end of the episode, we'll come to a conclusion. Why on earth is it doing so? It may seem like I think Joker 2 is some kind of a profound movie. Not at all. Just like the first part, it's a superficial movie that almost feeds the audience with its obvious message. We only analyze it because it's a bad movie that tries to do some interesting things. While the first movie was about the connection between society and mental health, in the sequel they tell us about the justice system, about the fact that it only punishes, but it doesn't improve and doesn't help. Let me remind you that the plot of the movie is focused on Arthur Fleck being put on trial. The defense is trying to get him sent to a medical facility for mental help. The prosecution, on the other hand, wants him executed. And the movie says that his death won't change anything. His victims won't be resurrected, and the lives he destroyed will never be restored.
I couldn't go back to work. I still can't sleep.
Execution won't solve anything. That's the point of the finale. The same psycho spawned by the system approaches him.
Can I tell you a joke I came up with?
And brutally kills and then cuts his face while Joaquin Phoenix sings about his heir in the background. So you can kill Arthur, but without changing the system, without solving the problems in the structure of society, you'll always have Joker. What's more, he's talking about how our justice system is a circus. It's just one big show.
As I said, I'm not going to let you turn my courtroom into a circus.
Okay.
This is why the movie is a musical. Todd Phillips was obviously inspired by the musical Chicago. It's also about a trial, about the media, and about using your image from the media in this very trial. It's a movie about the fact that a trial is just a performance, both for the characters and for the audience and the jury. And Joker also shows the performative nature of trials.
Showtime.
We see this process through the lens of other cameras. They demonstrate to us the juxtaposition of reality and how it is presented in the media. And we also see how the protagonist is affected by what people want from him. No one is actually interested in a fair trial. Everyone wants a show. Besides the reference to Chicago, the movie is also a musical because it solves one plot issue. Joker is in jail, but they still need to show his relationship with Lady Gaga. In that context, they can only exist in dreams, and a musical is exactly what's needed. It's always something detached from reality. It's a realization of the fantasies in the characters' heads. Musicals have an element of illusion built into them, and this fits perfectly into the context of the fantasies of crazy people. But this is nowhere near La La Land, which, by the way, was 6.5 times cheaper. The musical performances here suck and only slow down the plot. But the funny thing is that at first they happen in real life. But as Arthur stops taking his pills and falls into madness, the performances are transferred to other locations and become more sophisticated. And when Arthur gives up Joker's personality, they come back to reality. The main problem, and at the same time the main advantage of the movie, lies in the rejection of the Joker. In order to get help with his mental problems and avoid the death penalty, Arthur needs to prove that two different personalities live inside him. The murder was committed by the Joker's personality. Eventually, with the help of the right medication and therapy, Arthur's personality wins. Except that the jail staff,
You got a joke for us today?
the
We have an
media,
agreement you can't call him Joker.
his fans,
How many t-shirts is Arthur Fleck on?
and even Lady Gaga,
I want to see the real you.
they want him to be the Joker. Eventually, Arthur takes the blame for the murder.
There is no Joker. It's just me.
Lady Gaga is turning her back on him because of this, and it reflects the relationship between Todd Phillips and the fans of his movie.
No, you're not. There is no Joker.
The sequel asks, should you, as an artist, give your audience what they want from you, submitting to the crowd? Or should you be loyal to yourself, even if it means total self-destruction? Let's discuss it in the comments and try to answer this simple and at the same time very complicated question. One of the main themes of the movie is confrontation with yourself. This is exactly what the movie encourages the viewer to do. It asks, why did you come to watch this movie? Are you really interested in the fate of poor Arthur Fleck? Or did you come to see the Joker kill a couple more people?
I don't care about you. Just want to talk about my mistakes. You want to talk about the things that I did in the past, not about who I am.
In this sense, the movie puts its audience in the dock along with Arthur. It shames the audience for watching this movie. Again, Joker has fans in both real life and the movie's universe. And those fans want to see the Joker, but not Arthur. Except that's not who Arthur is. Both Fleck and Phillips refuse to be led by their fans.
I got the sneaking suspicion that we're not giving the people what they want.
It's okay, baby. You're right. Let's give the people what they want.
So, except for the musical performances, we see the real Joker in one single scene where he gets severely beaten up. And he doesn't want to be the Joker anymore. The Joker was kicked out of Arthur in such a stupid way. There were plenty of other ways to get Arthur to give up the Joker. There's a scene at the end of the movie when the courtroom explodes and then his fans try to help him escape. But eventually he escapes from them. Actually, this scene should have happened in the second act, before he realized he didn't want to be the Joker anymore. But it happens after that realization, in the previous scene. In order for the movie to successfully implement its themes through the set parameters, the Joker had to spend some time with his fans, and in those scenes come to the realization that he can't be the person they believe he is, or simply realize that he doesn't want to be that person. At first, I thought this was a big omission, but then I realized that if they had shown us the Joker spending time with his fans, they would have shown us exactly what we wanted to see. Again, this is exactly what fans expected after the ending of the first movie. But the point of the sequel is to negate the first movie. Just like Arthur Fleck, Todd Phillips chooses not to play along with the crowd and does so in the most humiliating way possible for the protagonist. It feels as if the movie despises the very fact of its existence. The sequel of Joker doesn't try to evoke sympathy. The movie doesn't even try to entertain you. And in that sense, even though it's almost impossible to watch, it's the closest to true art among movies based on comic books. It's not a movie, it's an artistic statement at the expense of the studio, and partly at its own expense. After all, Todd Phillips will never be allowed such budgets or creative freedom again. But why did Todd Phillips decide to repudiate the idea of the first movie in this way? But why attack the audience and their expectations? And why do it through self-destruction? I think Tom Phillips is a provocateur. And to understand what he does, we need to look at the origins of his artistic journey. His very first movie is a documentary about G.G. Allin. That's his idol. That was the impetus that helped to start his career. That's why he's in this business. This is a self-destructive musician, and mildly speaking, he has been antagonistic to his fans, just like the Joker. He would bleed and cover himself in his own blood in front of his excited fans, and then, just like the Joker's fans, they would go out and riot. He was attacking his fans, again, almost like a Joker sequel. He also planned to kill himself on the stage, right in front of the audience. But the drugs made it happen faster. That's how I perceive the sequel to Joker. The Joker sequel is filled with hate, just like G.G. Allin, towards the world, towards the audience,
inside of me that just was so much that just wants to explode,
and towards himself. Even the typical Joker fan resembles the typical G.G. Allin fan in some ways. And while we're talking about music, in the movie, Joker sings a Daniel Johnston song, This is another musician with serious mental problems. He's a lot like Arthur, not the Joker, and I highly recommend you to listen to his music. In any case, this movie is Todd Phillips' return to his roots, to performative antagonism towards his audience, and self-destruction in front of them. This is what performance art is all about. Todd Phillips turned into Gigi Allen, but from the movie world. He took over the baton from his idol, but on a scale that Gigi Allen never even dreamed of. Thank you for supporting our channel. Like this video, share it with others, and most importantly, we would like to see your opinion in the comments section. Do you agree with everything we said, or do you have a different point of view? Please share it with us.